Good afternoon, Final Fantasy Randomizer fans. This is the final race in Week 2 of the Final Fantasy Fall All Hallows League. I'm DVS, and I am joined here in the booth by Lord Fizzlebeef. Fizzle, how you doing?
Hello.
Today we've got 4 of our restreamed runners, Dark Moon EX, Team RHK, Gregory Puff, and Static Pulse SA, representing 4 of our 10 teams in this fall league. So even though you see 4 runners on stream, there are going to be 6 other runners running the exact same seed simultaneously. Our runners are on a 10-minute delay, and we will be following up with not only when our restreamed runners finish, but also when the other 6 teams finish. So, Fizzle, when you're looking into this, what are you looking for in these first couple minutes of this flag set?
So the first couple minutes are going to be getting all the easy key items we can get. I'm talking Topher key item, I'm talking Provoca. We can't get Sarda because none of the easy access flags are on. So we can't get early Crescent Lake, we can't get early Sarda. Technically, I don't think we can get early Ordeals, but that's never been at least a problem in any of my practices. The crown seems to always be early for some reason. And then once we have all the easy stuff out of the way, and then once we kind of have some magic, it's the hunt for whatever the incentive path is, and then it's the hunt for the grind tile, because as we can see, everyone's bringing black belts. And there's a reason for that. This flag set feels so much faster with a black belt than anything else.
Yeah, well, and to kind of piggyback on that, one of the big reasons that you see a lot of black belts is because, yes, they can be ridiculously overpowered once you get them to high level, but it's also because of the XP scaling, because every key item that our runners pick up get 20% XP scaling, and that alone is going to really make these grinds fast and powerful.
Because a free airship implies you can go fast. Well, I don't want to have you going fast and then slowing down for a grind. Just throw a brick at the gas pedal and go nuts. And that's why I think we're going to see a lot of our times being well under an hour.
Oh yeah. I've seen as low as like the 37-minute range for some of the fastest seeds. And, sometimes with the awful seeds, you'll see the first runner coming in around 45, 47 minutes. But you're expecting right around the 40-minute mark for that first runner to finish.
Yeah. Alright, and the runners will be started momentarily. And
there
we're
we go. The suspense was killing us. Alright, let's get that first magic check.
Level 1 Fast is not as great as it sounds. Level 1 Zap, that is the interesting pick. And White Locked Fade, oh, that would make me a sad panda.
Yeah. And Wall's a great thing to have at level 1 as well. It's Wall and Fast are not the greatest spells to see at the beginning of the game, but they're 2 spells you definitely want at the end of the game.
Yes.
And it looks like, I know one of our runners, it looked like ran up to Matoya first. I think that was Static Pulse. And I kind of like that strategy. You'll see some people do that quick run up north just to pick up some extra money, because money ends up being incredibly tight in most of these flag sets.
Right. I personally just dig the boxes out of Temple of Fiends because I'm there and there's no encounter rate. I can see the Matoya check. That I don't know if that's fast or not. I feel like that's similar time, but I usually hit Matoya on the way between Temple of Fiends and Provoca, so This might be one of those potato things.
Yeah. Well, and I think we just saw that Sarah handed over the crystal, and that's, I think, one of the trade-offs that you get with going to one of these early checks, like an early Dwarf or an early Matoya, is that, well, if you end up getting an early crystal, but you've already checked the Matoya checks, you've kind of used up some of your time.
Right.
But, in the average race, 5 or 6 seconds wouldn't really matter, but we've seen a lot of very, very close races here.
No, the key to this flag set is definitely routing as efficiently as you possibly can. So if you end up double dipping any location for any reason, it feels so bad.
Yeah, I agree. So right now, it looks like Dark Moon is our first runner to make their way to Provoca, checking the white magic. Life 2 and Cure 4.
Dang.
That is a very safe,
that's
very
a
safe set of magic there.
Ooh, level 2
And
temper.
That's this is great endgame magic.
Yeah.
I guess that fade for the white mage is a great pickup to have.
Right.
I think most runners are carrying a white mage just for that reason. Like, you might get a white locked exit or Cure 4 in fade in this case.
Right.
I don't think it's the end of the world, but the fact that we don't really have a strong black magic sweeper yet. I guess we have Zap, but that only lasts for so long.
Zap will work fine for a lot of Southern Hemisphere stuff. Like, Zap would be perfectly fine for Garland and Pirates. But I'm seeing what looks like, Oxyel for sale for on the cheap.
Very cheap.
I'm seeing a lot of reasons to re-roll into white magic, which hurts me on a spiritual level.
What, you don't like white magic?
No.
We did just see that Vicky is handing over the Adamant. So we got an early TNT from Sarah. We got an early Adamant from Vicky. Mm-hmm. So that's going to make that early Dwarf Cave play just kind of a no-brainer. And then from there, it's, do you go Marsh, Earth, Ice, or Volcano?
So
what are you thinking?
It's all about counting incentives for the effort. If we go to Marsh, that's 1, unless the key is there. If we go to Ice, that's 1. If we go to Earth, yes, we have to walk out of there, but the Vampire Chest is 1, and we get access to Sarda, which is the second one. So I would be looking at Earth.
Yeah, I like how I match with you on what you're thinking. That the Earth play isn't everybody's favorite for many reasons. But it is the one play that's going to get you 2 key items instead of 1. Mm-hmm. And if we end up getting an early rod.
Ooh, Adamant turns into the defense sword.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
So the game in Final Fantasy 1, there are multiple key items that physically lock progression. For this flag set, I personally rate the defense sword as being something about as required as the loot is. Like, to survive some of the shenanigans that we might be seeing in Topher, like, especially for the slimmer party sets, like, you need defense. It's not a want, it's a need.
Yeah. I agree that of the items that are available to us, with Power Bonk, defense, and I think Ribbon, I would take defense over Bonk any day of the week in this flag set.
Yes. I spotted level 4 Nuke. Not much out of level 3 White Magic. Ruse, I guess, out of level 4 for White Magic. And level 3 Black Magic has Fire 2, Lightning 2, and I guess Quake.
Yeah, well, that Ruse at level 4, I mean, you have it on the White Mage, but the fact that it's locked to your Red Wizard, it kind of is reminiscent of the White Samurai perspective of, make sure that your White Mage, you're going to have level 1 Fade. You could have upwards of 9 casts of that.
Okay.
You throw out Ruse and defense. Like, you can get them super evasive to have more of an offensive feel, at least until you get your black belt, powered up, and then make them good to go.
So where are our runners headed? Grigglypuff is doing a volcano dive, opening boxes, checking tiles. Finds the Rankilo tile. That's a no.
Yeah, well, then it looks like Static found a Saria tile. I didn't see where he found it, but
looks like
personally,
Waterfall.
Waterfall. Sarias are by far one of my favorite tiles in this flag set, especially. They give you, they're very like in the same vein as the Agama tile, but they give you more experience. I would be sitting on this tile for a while if it was me.
So, ordinarily, I have my top 10 list of tiles that I focus on, and just like stick to that list and we'll be fine. But the experience is so bonkers in this flag set that really anything that's, I'm no longer counting like, some total experience. I'm more looking at like punchable sprites for a black belt, like Nachos I'll take, R-Hydras I'll take, like Nightmares I'll take. As long as it's something that a black belt can get through in a timely manner, I'm looking at it as a contender.
Yeah, the one thing that you don't want is a lot of enemies on your tile. So like you'll take something that's like 2 or 3 gas bees as opposed to 9 Gurmeduses. You might get similar experience levels, but if you're looking for that solo grind for your black belt, it's definitely better to have fewer enemies for a greater density of experience.
So our ice incentive is the key. Dark Moon finds the key as Demon heads down into Earth Cave. Static Pulse is finished with Waterfall, headed elsewhere, and Grigglypuff is in Ice Cave chasing down that key as well.
Yeah, well, and the key opens up another incentive item. So normally when we're doing our standard run-of-the-mill flag sets for FFR, we are looking directly to Canaria Castle for the Canaria key lot. But these flags are unique because we have the Marsh key lot incentivized. So that's probably why you saw a number of runners not head to Marsh immediately, because they were looking for that early key so they could get both of the incentive items down there for one at the same time.
Question chat, have we found Lock? We just did at level 5, and it is red learnable.
Yeah, it's funny because on Thursday we were talking about Lock in the pregame, and it ended up being actually a very important spell endgame. Ooh, and Grigglypuff found a ribbon in the 6 ice chest. But yeah, if you've got a black belt who can throw out 15 hits, but you're fighting against a Kraken 2 with max evade, it doesn't matter if you can do 1,000 damage when you hit, if you can't hit him. So that's where Lock ends up being an incredibly valuable spell.
So Demon had to reset out of the vampire fight. The vampire got a lucky shot on any of the casters who could have done anything. Dark Moon's gonna follow the key lead, see what's in Marsh and Marshlock. Static Pulse is doing a little bit of shopping in Elfland, and Griggly's about to get the key.
But Griggly's opened a lot of boxes too. Usually in this flag set, you see a lot of runners avoid opening boxes. I don't know if he's looking for something in particular. He also got that early ribbon. So, and the black, typically you don't put a ribbon on a high level black belt. So I don't know if he's looking to raise money or if he's looking for massa or something else. But we'll see if he keeps opening boxes.
I think what he's looking for is a caster item, because if that black belt gets a caster item, so many more grind tiles become possible for a solo grind on that black belt.
That's true.
Ooh. So Vampire Chest is the tail. That's arguably the thing that Demon wanted to see the least. As the person not running a red mage, tail is going to be a very limited benefit.
Yeah. Well, and for those of you newer to Final Fantasy Randomizer, one of the big things about the tail is that it does allow you to get extra spells on your red mage. It does allow you to equip extra weaponry, but it's actually horrible for black belts. Black belts get the best MDef in the game, so every level their magic defense goes up. But as soon as you promote them to a master, their MDef substantially decreases per level. So you're not going to see most of our runners do a promotion until maybe the very, very end of the game.
So, bit of an update. Dark Moon's Marsh Dive landed him the Chime and the Ruby. We're going to see where the Ruby leads in a minute. Meanwhile, Demon's Earth Dive only led to Tail and Loot, neither of which we really need right now. Ruby yields Bottle, so Fetch Quests continues.
And to go back to something that we said earlier, you notice that Dark Moon is doing a lot more of the fetch quests before doing like a settled grind, and a lot of that has to do with the 20% per key item. So, we talked about the Saria tile earlier on Static Pulse's screen, but one of the reasons that you would back out of such a grind is because of the fact that you want to get some of these 20% buffs before ending up settling on your grind tile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Even if you identify a grind tile now, it's better to just finish all of the fetches that you're able to do before coming back to it, because it's 20% per key item. So if we do, key and then key to check a lock, and then crystal, and then herb, and then slab, and then bottle, that's 100% right there. That's already increasing the experience we get by 100%. And there's even more key items after that, so...
Yeah, absolutely. And this was brought up in chat that we did find very, very cheap silver plus 5s. So we haven't discussed it yet today, but when you see those plus and minus numbers at the end of a weapon or an armor, we call that blurst armor, and you'll see those items go from -5 to +5. And essentially what that's going to do is it's going to buff or nerf that particular piece of equipment. And so when you see that silver plus 5, you're drastically increasing the amount of damage resistance, your evade, all of the statistics for that piece of armor are substantially increased. At the same time, if you got a -5, then all of those stats for that armor are going to substantially decrease.
Mm-hmm.
And Dangwu dropping in chat all of these specifics, because I can never remember them when I try to explain them. So thank you, Dangwu.
Yeah, I always forget as well. For those who can't see it, so for weapons, when weapons go up or down, it's ±2 damage, ±3 hit, and ±3 crit, which is about 1.5% crit. Armor, everything is either plus or -1 absorb, while chest is plus or -2 absorb. And I think there might be evade changes, but evade's not real. I mean, it's a real stat, but due to the amazing, lovely mechanical back end of how a lot of this stuff works, evade does change, but it's so wibbly as to whether or not it actually impacts things that I honestly wouldn't include it as part of the calculation.
Well, it looks like we have Demon heading into Volcano. We have Dark Moon traveling around the overworld. I think I saw Gregory heading into, is that Earth Cave? And Static into Ice Cave. Oh, nope, he's in Marsh. Gregory's in Marsh, picking up his Chime, and he'll be going over to pick up his Ruby from Marsh Locked in the near future.
So, Gregory zapping his way through Shark Arsahag, already at level 17 across the board. Still probably looking for a grind tile. As Demon finds the golden goose of grind tiles. It's the worm tile.
Yeah, that's a beautiful tile to find. It, as you see, it can be. They can still hit hard, but they give some just massive amounts of experience if you're able to survive.
They're also well over 550 hit points. We may have to come back to this when we have some basic levels, some basic armor.
Yeah. It's funny because as I ran these flags, I used to be looking for always looking for that best grind tile and trying to get the greatest amount of experience. But you still need to be able to survive that tile. So there are early level tiles, mid game tiles, and end game tiles. That's a great end game tile, but you have to get up to that level 20 something, maybe even as early as a 32 to really take advantage of that particular tile.
Right, or you get lucky and they roll down. It's basically one or the other.
Right. And it looks like Dark Moon just picked up that Saria tile, and he's had a lot more time to go pick up key items since we saw it on Static Pulse's screen. So we'll see if Dark Moon decides to stick around for a little bit, or if he still thinks he needs to go look for a better grind or a grind else, or pick up some more key items.
Right. So I'm looking at the timer, and I'm looking at key item count, and I'm looking at tracker situation. I'm looking at that Saria tile, and if they go down easy enough, I might kind of plant myself here and just do my grind all in one shot and then just stampede through the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think when we get to at the point he's at with all of the percentage he has, if he's able to put down one of these Sarias in one punch from a black belt, that's kind of my threshold. Like, I keep all of the other Light Warriors alive for AoE damage until I can get that black belt to put them down in one punch each. And from there, it's, kill off all the other Light Warriors, hold A, sip a drink, get a snack, and come back when you're level 50. Ooh, and Gregory Puff finding one of his favorite tiles, which is an Agama Argiant tile. Gregory Puff is one of our Duckling Dons, who is very, very helpful to our Duckling program, which is a fantastic beginner program. I just went through the Duckling program in the last couple months, and they teach you everything and anything about Final Fantasy Randomizer. And one of the things that Gregory loves is Gregory loves his black belt, and Gregory loves his Agamas.
It's not a bad tile, it really isn't. When it rolls down to a single Argiant and a single Agama, that's when it feels bad, but if you get the Argiant and 3 Agamas, that can work. Especially if the Argiants roll down on strength, because that's the lethal part of the encounter. Is if an Argiant punches you for, say, 135 damage, it's going to start to feel real bad as you're spending a lot of effort healing over time.
Right. Well, and I appreciate Groggy pointing out that Ale, our amazing tracker for today, so Ale, or Ale Markin, is behind the scenes tracking for us. He's also been helping Gregory Puff out with our Duckling program. So quick shout out to him as both our tracker and one of the leads in our Duck program.
Thanks, Ale.
And Ale shouting out Dark Moon as the other duck boss of the trio. So, Gregory, Ale, Dark Moon, thank you to all three of you. Seriously. Definitely made it a great experience to come join this randomizer.
So, an interesting thing just happened that I kind of want to expand on for a moment. I saw mutterings of it in chat about how Gregory's going to be very upset when he finds out that the fish have Blaze. recall that Gregley was opening boxes for a while until he happened upon a ribbon. That ribbon allowed his level high teens red mage to actually just base tank enough blazes that it was able to run away from that fight. So he was still able to keep all the effects of that grind, and it looks like he's now down to running only 2, the black belt and the red mage. That's a good play.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you pointed that out, because there's nothing more terrifying than just finishing a multi-level, multi-minute grind and seeing something like blazes coming out of a encounter like that. So prioritizing that ribbon, making the smart play. I'm sure he was sweating, but man, he's got to be happy with that.
Yeah.
And so it looks like Static just found that same Agama red giant tile as Demon and Gregley are both in Gaia, it looks like.
Gregley about to turn in the bottle, and we get nothing here, but next to it is a ribbon. So that's 2 ribbons, but now, ordinarily, I'm one of the people that shouts from the rooftops, I don't care what the black belt's MDef is, stick a ribbon on it. The exception to that is if you get that black belt up well past like the 42 mark. If you actually get that black belt well enough above 42 that you get it to 200 MDef, I can see leaving the ribbon off. It's playing fast and loose at like 32, where it's just like, 120 MDef, that's good enough.
Yeah. Well, and then kind of, as you pointed out, it's a give and take thing, because in putting on the ribbon, yes, you are protecting that black belt from all of those horrible status effects and insta kills. However, you're also drastically decreasing their absorb. So now you have to give them some sort of, that silver +5. You got to give them, any other types of defense to try to actually increase that so he can take a hit. So there's definitely a give and take when it comes to that. And again, that's one of the nice things about how the original developers, approach this game, to try to make these give and take plays instead of making the black belt so purely OP.
Right. Hey, another one of my favorite tiles, 5 to 9 bad men. I'm not kidding. Look, see, they're not hitting that hard. Just light them up with Nuke and Fade, and you're good to go. Or we can run.
Yeah, I don't know. That tile just it always makes me afraid, because when you have that many of one character of one enemy type, who knows if they've got some sort of skill or just magic, like they throw out ink just to make you feel a little bit safe, and then they hit you with like 8 blizzards.
That just tells you need to kill them in 1 round.
For those of you who were watching Static Pulse on his last turn-in to pick up his quote-unquote flute, you might have noticed one of my personal favorite new fun percent flags that our amazing developers have come up with. In Static Pulse did not find a loot, he found a snare drum. So yes, one of our new fun percent flags is multi-instrumental Sarah, where Sarah can give you any number of different types of instruments. I feel like I keep seeing new ones every time I play, and it just reminds me to shout out our amazing development team.
Last night in a practice, I got an air horn. I've never laughed so hard. And you better believe it, I wasn't streaming it. No one was around. But I whispered to myself when I got to that loot plate. I
mean, I think I got a tambourine earlier. I've gotten a kazoo. There's a haiku that you can get. I mean, there's dozens of different instruments that were just thrown in a massive list. And as our tracker points out, Dark Moon is our first one to light an orb at the 26-minute mark. Now that might feel a little bit late into the game, but depending on where you are with your grind and with having 0 encounters, lighting orbs becomes a 3-minute endeavor as opposed to the 10 or 15 minutes it could take if you have a ton of encounters.
Pretty much. I feel like the good goal for this flag set was finish your grind by around 20-ish, like 20 to 22, somewhere in there. And then start finishing up whatever incentives you have left, and then just light the orbs back to back to back.
Right. Well, and I'm looking at Greg's screen at the moment, and I'm noticing he's at level 37 with that black belt, and he's still keeping up that red mage, which I like the play, because, you know, it's nice to have a magic caster that you know is going to survive a lot of these hits. But I can imagine that if that red mage goes down in the near future, he'll just settle on that solo grind and bring that black belt up to at least like 42, 45, if he doesn't go all the way to 50.
I know there's an argument to be made for stopping the grind somewhere in like the 36 range and then just letting passive experience get you to 40, 42, somewhere in there. I personally preferred the grind the solo black belt to like 46 and then let Warmech take you to 50.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. Just because, especially on this flag set, with like, you usually say go to 38 and then take a walking grind to 42, but there's no such thing as a walking grind in these flags.
Right.
Like, as you said, though, I'll let Warmech take me from like 45 to 48, but I'm not going to risk that, you know, coming in at Warmech at 40 and ending up having Warmech be such a high absorb that it ends up making the fight a little bit trickier.
So it looks like Dark Moon is settling in for a grind at the same area where Gregley just finished his. We've got Mount Black Belt over here, level 43, ready to just dumpster anything it comes across, up until probably Topher.
Yeah, well, and even in Topher, that just means you need a single round to cast fast and maybe a temper before you destroy everything with one punch. So, yeah, and again, as you said, Topher, it matters how much evade all of our Fiendry fights are going to have. Some of them can still dish out tons of hits that destroy all of your casters. And if even though the black belt is super OP most of the time, if you don't have any mages and you are solo black belt, there's still a chance that you could get that black belt wiped if you're trying to do a solo walk straight through Topher.
So something else that I feel like I either missed or wasn't paying attention for Gregley's grind, Zombie D's with Stone Poison. Whizbams with Thunder is a little... I mean, that's probably what took out the rest of the party, so definitely at least one, if not both, ribbons necessary to kind of make that grind work.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, though, there's so much risk involved in this, but the black belt's MDef growth, like, most of the time you'll see something like a stun touch or a stone touch or even there like a stone poison. You really have to weigh the fact that, hey, look, I could get stoned as the black belt, but it's a very unlikely case the higher my level gets. So do you risk and keep on this tile knowing that you could get stoned, or do you abandon and try to find something that's going to be a better experience trade-off?
Ordinarily, I think you have to try to make the high experience play work as much as possible, but when all plays are high experience plays, I think you can really afford to be choosy and just be like, nah, I don't want to deal with this. I'm going to look elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have seen some amazing tiles. We've seen the Wiz Vamps on BD tile, we've seen the Saria tile, we've seen the Worm tile. I mean, any one of those you would be excited about, but having all of those available to you, it really is a pick the one that you hate the least and just stick with it.
Ooh, chat pointing out that Demon RHK might have bonked off of Ordeals for failing to secure the crown. Interesting. The crown was from the herb turn-in, which the herb was the volcano incentive. And looking at the tracker, he doesn't have that many more places to look for things.
Yeah, it looks like it's that rod that's eluding our runners at the moment. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, some of them have a tail. The rod's the elusive one. Good chance it's up here in Ordeals.
So it looks like Static Pulse is attempting to grind worms. It looks like we moved the black belt down to the bottom position, and we're keeping a white mage up for Fade, and we're just going to two-man grind on the worms.
Yeah, I think his plan is he's got that life too, so trying to get to the point where the white mage is staying alive just to make sure that they can res the red mage and the black mage to then get wiped at the beginning of the next round so that they can survive and do another worm encounter. We'll see if he's satisfied with where he is or if he's going to go back and try to... Yeah, it looks like he's heading off to carry.
Meanwhile, Darkmoon finds another one of my favorite tiles, the Naga Water tile. It's not working out well for him.
Yeah, I saw this black belt stoned. That's never something that you want to see.
I missed if that was an ability or if that was Stone Touch.
Yeah, so did I. But it does look like he found his rod, so it looks like he still needs to pick up that lute or snare drum or whatever it is today from Sarda, and then he'd be in go mode.
True, but the thing with Darkmoon's routing is that he's left Earth to dead last, so whereas all of our other runners have had to double dip Earth, Darkmoon's going to do it all in one shot.
Yeah, that is true. But then again, you get to the whole concept of the 20% experience. Does the fact that they dove early and got that extra 20% speed them up enough that taking that extra time to dive Earth actually ended up helping? And again, that's one of the cool things about this flag set, is that there's so many intricate little pieces and decisions that need to be made. There's no, like, one clear, correct way to approach this flag set.
Mm-hmm. There can be an overall strategy, maybe, but there's still all the choices that you have to make along the way.
Yeah, but I'm definitely one, especially if I have a warp or an exit available, to do an early Earth dive. Even if I have to go in twice, I still have an extra key item. I still have that experience buff. And I don't really mind diving twice. But, you know, again, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the definitive right decision.
Dangwu in chat, I need to teach my team how to land the airship. I can offer my services. I'm infamous amongst my team for my ability to pilot vehicles.
Right, and we do have I think Darkmoon's our first runner to be experiencing Kraken 1, so we'll see how this one goes.
I'm expecting Fast Punch, except I saw the defense sword being hefted, which, I mean, better safe than sorry, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing that you want is for your black belt to get downed in the first round. You know, they can ooh, Thunder. That's definitely a case where you want that ribbon coming out.
I saw fasted 6 hits for around 300 damage. The technical term for that is bad news.
Very true. Well, and there goes the white mage. I haven't seen what level. There you go. Okay, so Dark Moon was able to take down Kraken, but I didn't get a chance to see what level that black belt's at.
It just hit 32.
Just hit 32. So that was a huge risk relying on that black belt. I think Dark Moon's got to be thinking at this point, I've got to make sure that I hit a higher grind at some point in the near future.
Meanwhile, in the Tale of Two Black Belts, Gregley steps up to the plate, 7 hits for 815 damage. I suspect the only reason that he didn't one-shot this is because Fast came way late in the turn order.
Yeah, well, I mean, seriously, look at the difference in just, like, that little bit of a threshold of... Ooh, and he just ate 4 hits. 10 hits for 1,200 damage. That's the difference of a black belt at 30-something versus a black belt at 40-something.
Mm-hmm. So Dark Moon is in Space Cave. Gregley is on the hunt for his next hunting ground. Static Pulse headed for Ordeals to get that elusive rod. This Demon is trying to figure out what we're going to do about this carry problem since we've lost our black belt. And may or may not be out of magic. We're going to try Zap strats. Zap is not 3 and 256. It's down there. But
yeah, I mean...
Ooh! The Mighty White Mage. Well done.
Way to go, Demon. Way to go.
Meanwhile, Dark Moon is taking on everyone's favorite giant robot, Iswarmech. We're going to try some defense strats because Warmech has a tendency to punch. And our black belt is not as robust as it could be.
Yeah.
Single hit to the red mage for 196. That kind of... Actually, that's not bad. As far as Warmech, as this stat Warmechs go, that's not that bad. We're going to throw out some fades. Going to do our final defense charge. We're going to try Nuke, Swing, Fade. Punch goes first. 4 hits for 229. Nuke goes out for 113. Fade goes out for 102. Warmech's still there. Attempts to retaliate, but misses the evasion-capped black belt. Lightning 3 comes out, blows up the red wizard. 4 hits for 229. Warmech's still there. Fade for 90. Feels real bad. Warmech's still there. We're going to do some Cure 4 just in case something stupid happens. Like hitting the white mage for 400, but 8 hits for 493. Down goes Warmech.
And there's that 42,000 experience that Dark Moon used to go right past, right up in those higher levels. So Static just went to Ordeals and picked up his rod. Looks like he's settling on this this water Naga tile. Gregley Puff shortly behind him in Ordeals. As you said, Dark Moon coming up against Tiamat, and Demon RHK is doing a little bit of shopping.
Gonna do some punch nukes against Tia 1. As Gregley is in Ordeals, getting ready to get that rod. Demon headed somewhere else next, and it looks like Static Pulse also in Ordeals. Static Pulse choosing to grind on the Naga water tile to grind the whole party. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you always hate to see Naga waters, but on the flip side, they have tons and tons of experience, and it looks like the waters rolled about 200 HP, which is pretty low for them.
That seems to be really good.
Yeah, I agree that's a decent place to settle down, especially if you can be confident that in 15k for all 4 light warriors. Yeah, that's a decent choice.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I like about the Naga water tile is, okay, Yes, you can take Nuke, grind anything. Yes, you can take Fade, grind anything. Ice 3 against that tile? Arguably better than Nuke. Because the waters are vulnerable to ice, you might actually see some 420 damage Ice 3s, whereas Nuke is capped at only 400.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, that goes with the experience. You know, if you've been playing long enough to know all of those intricate details, you're gonna make some bigger plays like that in terms of, hey, I'm gonna settle on Ice 3 throws as opposed to Nuke throws, and work through a grind a little bit longer maybe than somebody else would.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Gregory Puff is on his way to take on Warmech and Tiamat. Dark Moon is doing his final Fiend dive to take out Lich, and Demon getting his rod and Ordeal. Static shortly behind Gregory, heading up to Tiamat and Warmech.
So Gregory about to take on the mighty Warmech. Warmech explodes the White Mage. So many buffs going into that already enormous black belt. Warmech attempts to take out the black belt early. Hits it for 400. The black belt retaliates for 728. I think there's
only
some
5 hits for 728.
5 hits out of 20. There's some evasion going on here. Warmech punches through evasion for 125, but the black belt counters 5 hits, 1,600 damage. No more robot.
That was only 5 hits. not nearly what the black belt can actually dish out.
Yep. That's why you take the black belt to a really, really high level.
Mm-hmm. And blink and you miss it. Dark Moon just took out Lich. And Dark Moon is probably going to be our first on-stream runner to head to Topher and take that first Topher dive after picking up his loot or snare drum from Sarda, which we'll see which one he picks up.
Oh. Only banjos, no drums. So, Dark Moon on his way to Topher. Gregory still has to re-dive the Earth Cave. Gotta get that Lich kill. Where Demon is in Ordeals, possibly taking a grind, as Static Pulse is in Space Cave, also taking on Tia 1 for his second orb.
It looks like Demon RHK settling on that water grind as well. Dark Moon picking up some extra spells, and Static just taking out Tia, lighting his second orb. Gregory Puff on that second dive to Earth. And Power Bonk coming from the Sages. Not the most helpful item in the world, but nice to keep in your back pocket.
Nice to keep if we happen to have something to swing on a secondary character, possibly. But I look at the Power Bonk, and what I see is the black belt continuing to do things that are not throwing punches, and I have concern. Yeah.
Well, and it's tough because the way that damage is dealt, that's going to improve the amount of, casting Saber, which is what the Power Bonk does, or Power Gauntlet does, is going to make every single one of those punches stronger, but is that buff going to outweigh not throwing the very first punch? And since the black belt can typically take out a fiend in 1, maybe 2 punches anyway, you're typically going to see fast temper, invis, punch, and then 1 or 2 rounds later, there is no more fiend.
So, Dark Moon, first on-screen runner to enter Topher at, we'll call it the 45-minute mark. Gregory explodes a Lich. It is going to be not too far behind. Static Pulse, about to take down the third orb, not going to be that far behind. Demon has all the items he needs and is basically doing orb cleanup as well.
Static Pulse throwing out temper and fast on that black belt. Kraken tried to take out the White Mage, and the White Mage actually ate that punch. And we'll see how quickly Kraken ends up going down for Static.
is tiny Kraken for babies. Alright, let's see what Speed Bump 2 has. Like 500 health. Theoretical offensive ability, but you just blow it up, we'll never see it. Gregley not that far behind, about to hit the earth floor.
Yeah, it depending on how both of these.
Big solid shot from Carry 2 to just explode Dark Moon's Black Belt. We're gonna try and get there on Mage Power. We got nukes and fades for days, that's fine. But the real question is, how much health does this Carry 2 have? We've just lost the White Mage. I think we have life on the Red Mage? Yeah, we have level 2 life, I think. Yeah, we do. Ice 2 comes in, doing notable things. Neither of those characters have ribbons. Nuke goes out for 342, down goes Carry 2. Gregley Puff, the Black Belt of Destiny, already on Carry 2 as well, as Dark Moon takes a little bit of time to restore health. 10 hits, 1166, Carry 2 is still there. Fast does what Fast does, casts at the end of the turn. The White Mage explodes. Nukes go out. Second punch, 20 hits for 3,000 damage.
I think he just did more damage than the amount of experience he got from that, which I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
So Dark Moon, going with the defensive plays, taking on the Kraken 2. Poison damage incoming, doesn't do that much. Gregley storms right in. Gregley's going to try walling, tempering, and fasting. The Kraken 2 is doing its own attacks. Eats 900 damage, is still standing. Gonna need some more buffs. Gregley, I didn't even see how much damage that was. It just went boom. Gregley is
I think
on
that was
T2.
about 1,200 damage or so. It looks like Gregley Puff has taken over Dark Moon, even though he ended up going into Topher later. He has
Almost
stormed
50
ahead.
seconds
He's
later.
already at Tier 2.
Almost 50 seconds later, and Gregley ended up a boss ahead. That's the power of taking just a little bit longer to level that black belt.
Yep, exactly. I just saw that Dark Moon's black belt's at 37, and I know that Gregley's is above that 42 mark. It's those couple extra minutes for that quick grind. It seems like it's working in Gregley Puff's favor.
Nuclear out of Tia 2, but I don't think Gregley cares. Fade for 132, Mega Punch. 16 hits for 3,000 damage, boom goes Tia 2. And Gregley's black belt hits 50.
I love it when that happens. That is a perfect experience routing, to hit that black belt at 50 on the way to Chaos.
I admit I had concerns when we abandoned the grind at 43. I was wrong. Here's Chaos. We're gonna try some wall, some temper, some fast, and a punch. Wall goes off. Temper goes off. Fast? No, punch first. 5 hits for 446. Incoming strike, the White Mage survives. Fast, what Fast does, cast at the end of the turn. Let's try nukes. A double temper and a punch. Lightning 2 goes out. Does Lightning 2 things. Temper goes off first. Punch? 10 hits for 1,000 damage. Chaos still standing. Fade for 102. The last temper goes off. Next round, we're out of fades. We're going to try waiting, because there's nothing that White Mage can do that's going to compare to this assault. Temper goes off. Temper goes off again. Fire 3 puts that poor White Mage out of its misery. Mega Punch. 12 hits for 1226. Chaos is still there. But the Black Mage isn't, as Chaos punches for 280, but 11 hits for 3,000 damage. Stop me if you've heard this before. Chaos goes down. 3,000 damage punch. Good lord. Gregley is our first on-stream runner to finish with an official SRL time of 50 minutes and 39 seconds. That is good enough for 4th place. Finishing ahead of him, Sir Linkalot with a first place time of 46:23. followed very closely by Caleb at 46.38, followed by Burt Reynolds at 49.36. Difference between first and fourth was about 4 minutes. GG to him.
Yeah, definitely GG to all of our runners that just finished. And Darkmoon has pulled his Chaos, and I anticipate, based on what we've seen from Chaos already, that Chaos is not long for this world or the world past, and we'll be seeing Darkmoon finish up in the near future.
No, when you get punched for 3,000 damage, you skip a couple worlds. I'm pretty sure that's in the handbook. So, incoming punch for 256. Temper goes off. We're going to do a little bit of waiting. 6 hits for 930. It's not as impressive, but it's going to get the job done. We're going to do some more tempers. Punch. 7 hits for 1,800 damage. Sorry, I was so surprised I coughed a bit. Fire 3 comes in. Nothing gets over 100. We're going to Cure 4 that black belt just in case. A little bit more temper. Temper goes off first. The red mage, I think, is out of gas, which is why it's waiting. Cure 4 goes off. Punch. 11 hits for 2,125 damage. Boom goes Chaos. Darkmoon finishes in 5th place with an official SRL time of 52 minutes and 19 seconds. GG to him. And we welcome our first place runner, Gregory Puff, to the booth. How's it going, man?
It's going all right. How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Pretty good.
So, how'd you enjoy your black belt, Seed?
Man, I did not enjoy that seed for myself. I felt like I just made every bad decision. I felt good at the beginning, and then I was like, man, Ice Cave with your key was nice, but there were no tiles down there. And then none of the key lock tiles were any good, except, of course, once I got 2 ribbons. And then, of course, like, after I ground that Whiz Vamp Zombie D tile, I found, like, worms and volcano and Tharias and waterfall, and I was like, this is I am losing this this race.
Based on everything,
it seems like that was it seems like that was the big thing with our on-stream runners, is there were so many great tiles, but every single one of those tiles seemed to have a big payoff that you needed to fight. Like, you had stone poison, or you had tons of HP. It wasn't a clear, this is the best tile, just sit here and keep going.
Yeah, and with these flags, I mean, going to waterfalls, it's not like really that out of the way. I mean, I had the Oxiel and the canoe early enough, so going up there is fine. But there's so much stuff you can do. It's its own like kind of island to itself, aside from killing Kraken. There's no other incentives over there, so it's one of those kind of things. It's like ordeals where you need the crown and the canoe to get to ordeals. So it's like one of those places a lot of the runners will save to go to last, which is what I did, because when the Lefanish gave me that wear sword -1, I was like, I hate you guys. And the new text for Astos, I had no idea what he gave me. I was like, meh, he had something. It wasn't an item. It wasn't a key item. It must have been, now that I think about it, I'm like, it must have been Vorpal, because I have no idea what it was. No clue.
We'd like to give a congratulations to Static Pulse, our 3rd on-screen runner to finish in 7th place, with an official SRL time of 54 minutes and 39 seconds. Finishing just ahead of him was Tarnan in 6th place at 52:43. GG to them.
Yeah, so Greatly Puff, I want to hear a little bit more what you think about, or what you thought about these free enterprise flags, just in general, and what is your team looking at as we head into a very, very different flag set of Shard Hunt being for next week?
I mean, the free like I'm a huge fan of Zero Encounters. These flags, I wish there would have been a better way when we were designing the flags to maybe balance the fighter into it a bit more. But with the clamps as high as they are and alt tiles, it's just the black belt's really the only way to go. As far as the flags themselves are concerned, I mean, they're fine, they're fast, they're fun. I have no issues with them. Going into next week, I would say Shard Hunt is vastly different, like you said. I mean, instead of go, go, go and not opening a single box, you gotta open a bunch of boxes looking for 28 shards. We all have kind of noticed how, like, the 33 to 300% is, like, absurd. Like, the variance there, so that's gonna make Tophers interesting. You're gonna either have, like, super paper Tophers where, like, all the fiends have, like, 500 HP, or you're gonna have, like, monster Tophers where, like, everything has, max evade and, 6,000 HP or whatever.
Yep. Have fun.
Yeah. And we still, the one thing I will say about the Shard Hunt flags is, like, no one knows what party to bring. Like, none of it, like, my entire team has been wrapping our heads around what party to bring, because we just can't figure it out. Like, there's no right answer to them. It's, you can bring a black belt, hope that you find a grind tile. I mean, black belt nerfs are turned off, so that's nice, but, you could still run into, like, a Topher where you can't land hits on anything, even with that, crit rate turned back to vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Hey there, everyone.
Hey, Dark Moon.
Hey, Dark Moon. Welcome our on-screen finisher. We also like to welcome Static Pulse, our third on-screen finisher, to the booth. GG, man.
Hello.
GG's. So that was
GG,
fun.
everyone. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of glad I did one practice this week. Just the one, because otherwise I would have forgotten nothing was free and there was a Warmech I had to fight. I did that on my practice, so I'm sitting there going, oh my god, how did I miss all of this?
Yeah, definitely the number of times I did practice runs where I had Brack and tried to run into Sky at level 15 and just throw Brack strats. Yeah, Warmech made that a bad time for sure.
Yeah. So did you guys like that walk of mine to ordeals before realizing the C word I saw wasn't the crown?
Oh, man.
I don't think you were the only on-stream runner to do that.
That felt great, though. Like, oh, right.
Special shout-outs to Demon RHK for having a good time and decursing this run by heaving that Vorpal +5 out of the window in Space Cave.
Yes.
Is that what
I got that.
Was that the Astos turn-in?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that, and I'm sitting there going, well, at least I can throw this on my red mage, and then I go to my red mage and I'm like, oh right, I have to promote him. Well, you're never using that, then.
Yeah, man, there was a Sun Sword +3 in Northwest Castle, so there you go.
I almost checked those chests, and I'm like, why would I check chests here? La la la.
Now, one of my practice runs, I found a Mazda +4 there. You never know.
The chest checking is a hard habit to beat, let me tell you. Just being in there and being like, okay, I'm gonna hit this, and I'm going to go do this and these things, and I'm in ordeal, so I need to make sure I check these chests, and you sit there going, wait, I have a black belt and there's nothing loose.
Yep.
I don't need to check anything. What am I doing?
Yeah, in one of my early practices, I opened like 20 boxes and my team yelled at me for it. So...
Well, yeah, I mean, those silver bracelets +5 that were, what, Elfland or something? That's good enough right there because of the blursing. You're like, no, I don't need anything else. I really don't have to check.
That's better than a gold bracelet in vanilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a set of those for my mages, especially the white mage. It really came in handy this seed of the MVP.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
I even had one of my black belt for half the run just because I'm like, you're weak and pathetic right now. Just wear this.
I don't know how many times white mage has been to OP this in any of my practices for Fall League. It's always something.
My white mage severely OP. What was it, level 47 when I finished?
Yeah, it was definitely the highest by a long shot.
He was! Well, those Whizbabs were great. They weren't regularly casting poison, but every once in a while they would, and the white mage was the only one to survive, and I'm like, well, you're just gonna be chonky now. But it helped, that chaos fight. I just put the white mage up front, they just absorbed everything. I'm like, I don't care, whatever. This was actually a real blast. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, and it made for a fantastic race. I mean, Dark Moon, you and Gregley were neck and neck going into that Topher. And we're really in, like, you actually entered before Greg did.
Yeah,
but-
Dark Moon entered 50 seconds before Gregley did.
So
that carry slowed me down.
Well, it was the
Left
part of it also with the level choice. So you ground your black belt to the mid 30s, and Greg did it to the mid 40s. So
yeah.
So can you two talk about, like, okay, how did you decide when to stop your grind?
Greg, you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. I knew I was going to go to my 40s anyway, because you just never know with clamp anything. So I'm just like, we're going to make this happen. I'll one punch Topher the whole way. My favorite part of my grind was that those guys killed my red mage off just so I could get to 43, and it looked like I did it on purpose.
Where'd you grind at?
I did Northwest Castle. There were some dangerous whiz vamps and zombie Ds with no HP, but they had skills. But I had 2 ribbons because I found a ribbon in Ice Cave of all places.
Nice.
Because it's one of the few places I like to go there. I know, and it's one of those things. I like going there early, but it never pans out. There's 5 tiles there. You know, I like hitting it early, checking the tiles, maybe check a couple of treasure chests, get some money or whatever. And the only thing I got out of it was a key and a ribbon. But I guess you kind of need the key.
You need the key, and the ribbon is not to complain about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
there were no tiles down there. There were no tiles.
No, there weren't. I tried the 2 that were around, and I'm like, no, these are gross. I'm getting out of here. I did the Sarias at Waterfall just because they were reasonably easy to kill. But I totally forgot to drop, get like housed up beforehand or go to the inn.
Oh no.
So I just I burned off whatever magic I had, and I'm like, well, that's good enough. We're just going with that. Then I did the Whiz Vamps at Astos' castle, and I went to that until my white mage hit 42, because I'm like, okay, if I go any further, this white mage is just ridiculous. So it wasn't because of the black belt levels, it was just like, I keep getting stoned and I don't want to deal with this anymore, so just being tired of it. And then I tried the worms, and the worms were way too beefy for more than like a level or 2, so then I just bailed on that. So it was just happenstance how my grind worked out, but all except for that carry, thankfully the black belt levels were perfect. So I didn't really care that much by the end of it. It was a risk.
Yeah, I mean, you still were able to easily get through Topher with that decision, so it's not like the risk didn't pay off. It just happened that seemed to be one of the determining factors. But it would seem to be one of the reasons that Greg was able to just edge out.
Pass me by. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, and if that carry like slowed me down a bit, because I probably lost a good 30 seconds to her, where if the black belt had been up, I could have just punched her a couple times and been done with it. Little shavings here or there that I probably just bled off, I'm sure.
Oh, that leads me to my next question. Gregley, what's it like to punch 3 of the Fiends and Chaos for 3,000 damage?
Holy crap!
Yeah, I think was it Tiamat? It wasn't Topher. I definitely saw a bunch of 3,000s pop up. But that's what happens, man. When you're level 50, you get a fast off, and you're still able to get like 5 or 6 tempers off. So
yeah, I mean that's nice. Yeah. That was great. I was really pleased that a couple of my times I punched like one of the Fiends for 1,700. Finally got those tempers to work. But yeah, level 37 or something. My guy was just like, "You hurt me."
I was sweating I was actually legitimately sweating during Warmech, because Warmech backfoot rode my black belt twice.
Yeah, no, I can see that. One thing I really like about these flags is the fact that, you don't have to worry about the damage tiles in Volcano. You don't have to save most places. Like, you get that habit of just popping a cabin every place you go. But for the most part, you're sitting there going, wait, I don't need to save here, because I'm just going in to do an item check, and then I'm bailing immediately afterwards. And then the fact that, I could just put 2 of my party members up front, like halfway into Topher, and never move them again, because I never have to worry about the encounters coming up. There's not anything. I just have to fight bosses. It was fantastic.
I will have to say, with some of the newer features, I think there's like the party members behind key items and party members behind Fiends, and then with Shuffled Astos and buffed Pirates and a few other things. I think that there's a really good way to balance out these 0 encounter flags now to make them different, or make...
Yeah. I know I have talked behind the scenes about that, and I think that's something that if we're in charge next year and we use something like this flags again for a league of this type, that is one of the things, really improving and changing and adding more from the new features to it to make what we're quote-unquote calling the free enterprise flags, because they're inspired by FF4 free enterprise. Just make these even more interesting and a little different from the Chaos Rush that you guys are going to see in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I definitely think that throwing in, especially that new feature of new characters every time you want to fight a fiend, like, instead of being excited to fight a fiend, you start getting very nervous because you have to give or take whoever you have, and if it's a caster, then all of a sudden you've lost all of your magic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's an upside downside depending on things.
Yeah, and just wait till we get blurst classes coming into some of our flag sets here. That, I mean, take this and swipe every single person's set or settings and give you 6 completely different classes that are completely unlike the original, and see how it goes. There's so many things our devs have put out that just completely changed this game, and I'm excited to see where we bring this in the future.
It's going to require like a massive overhaul of our layouts to include information for that from time to time, because there's like just being able to relay all that information to people about, well, the fighter gets this but loses these 2 things. It's just like, well, we're just going to need to do an overlay at this point.
So Demon RHK down to the solo black belt. Only around level 35.
Ooh.
Oh no.
He looks like he's been utilizing that defense sword in Power Bonk.
Oh.
Power Bonk. That must have been behind the stages.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I purposely went the route of that just in case somehow everyone but my black belt died, but it ended up working out the other direction most of the time.
So Demon RHK, we're going somewhere. Where are we going? Are we headed for Volcano? We're probably headed for the worm tile, if I had to guess.
Yeah, more levels. The worms are, I mean, they're great experience. I just felt they were way too beefy for the amount of effort that needed to go into that. Sarias, if you're looking for something that is a little bit of a walk, but easier to take out, I think are probably your best bet. Especially with a 1 or 2 man party, you can single punch down those Sarias like they're nothing.
If I recall correctly, these were solid 3-nuke worms, so I think I'd have to agree. I think the Sarius is probably where it's at.
Yes, I took my grind on the worms, the BB, to 42, and they were really beefy. It definitely took 3-4 nukes or baits to take them down.
Yeah, once that black belt gets high to actually one-punch those worms, it's a little bit better, but it seems like you have to get pretty high to get the black belt to that place.
This black belt might be capable of it.
Yeah,
I remember about mid-30s when the BB was able to punch them down, or at least punch them down into 1 nuke range.
Yeah.
I feel like I legitimately checked every tile.
You wouldn't have been alone, because I feel like everyone was... We found a lot of meh options. Everyone, I think, was still looking for the perfect option.
Yeah, when I got past the Blaze Caribs and saw the Agama Red Deeds, Red Giants, I was like, oh yeah, let's make this happen. And then they had like 700 HP, and I was like...
Oh yeah, I saw that too. I gave up on that pretty quick. Like,
yeah, it's just...
too beefy.
It's weird, because I always hear... Whenever I'm thinking about grinding, I always hear something, I don't think I heard directly from Fizzle, but like kind of from a person that told me, it's not the amount of XP you get per battle, it's how long it takes you to get that XP per battle. And so if I'm wasting like 3 or 4 rounds trying to kill this thing, even if it's a good tile, it's not a good tile, which is why I stuck with the 2-man on the Whiz Vamps and Zombie Ds, because they have the best HP and the quickest time I could get them down, which was 2 rounds. If I was... even the Sarias, like, it would have been good for a solo grind, but it would have taken at least 4 rounds to take them down. And then I'd have to walk out a waterfall. But that's not that scary, I guess, without encounters.
Yeah.
So.
While it is true that, you know, if you kill the fight faster, you get more experience, that math gets a little funny when you're talking about one encounter being worth like 2 to 3 times the experience of the other.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that I don't know, because it's Sarias, or that particular tile is what, 2 to 4 Sarias?
Yeah.
And they have what?
That caps. The Saria tile caps out. I know it's below 10,000 for experience, as compared to 16,000 for the worms. But if you can get them reliably in 1 to 2 rounds versus this, which is 2 to 3, it could work.
Yeah, if I got lucky on the problem with the Zombie D and the Whizvamp tile is like it's just so variant. Like you could get like 1 Zombie D and 1 Whizvamp. You could get 2 Zombie Ds and 3 Whizvamps. And the 2 Zombie D, 3 Whizvamps was significantly better than the first one. I mean, you'd get like 2,000 or 20,000 experience per person on the latter, whereas it was like 9,000 on the former. But,
yeah, I think we just get about 10 levels in, 5 maybe encounters against those worms. But it kind of shows off when you get to that high level, it can be worthwhile. But anyone lower than 32 on that black belt was going to have a bad time trying to stick with that one.
Yeah, I mean, if I can't take down a group of worms with Fade and 2 nukes, then I'm not interested, to be perfectly honest. Like, they need to, like, really kind of roll on the low side, because then, like we're saying, you're spending nearly 8 or 9 rounds of combat trying to take them down, plus they hit hard, and no fun.
Yeah, so we do have Demon RHK is back into Topher. And Demon is the only one of our runners who did not do the Black Belt Rainbow. He decided to forego the Red Mage for a Nun. And I think with this particular flag set, you had access to life with that Red Mage. And I think his first dive into Topher, that White Mage got down by Carry, I think. So that, you end up taking a little bit more of a risk, but you do end up getting those higher XP levels a little bit faster. So
I personally love taking a 3-man party on this flag set, but the problem with that is that because you're only taking 3, you need more experience, and by more experience, I mean the black belt needs to be 50. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. If it's not 50, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and I mean, the problem with the 3-man is great, but man, having life 2 on both your white and your red mage in that seed, if one of them went down, then it would have been fine. But if you lose, like if you get carried 2'd on your red mage that has life 2, I mean, a black mage and a black belt are going to still have a significantly hard time getting through Kraken 2, Tia 2, and Chaos. I think even with Defense Sword, I mean, things can get kind of ugly pretty quickly if you get bad turn order.
Defense Sword only sees play after the Black Mage goes down. Other than that, it's fast punch, nuke punch.
Yeah, we did just see Demon get his revenge against Carry 2 by doing, it was like 19 hits for 2,000 damage and just obliterated Carry, and he's already on his way to Kraken 2. Well, and like speaking of the whole 3-man party, I've tried a couple of those runs in this flag set, but I feel like I just let the seed tell me which 3 of my 4 light warriors I'm supposed to keep. So you go through the game, at some point someone's going to obliterate one of the 3 mages, and then you just accept that as what the seed decided should happen, and you move forward with those 3 light warriors that you have left standing, and you got an extra body to throw in the way anytime you need it.
I was operating under the same rules, except I was going from 3 to 2.
Yeah, I took 4 the Black Belt Rainbow simply because of the fact that you never know where Exit or Warp are going to end up, and like those for a speed set just like this, those are your most vital spells. Like beyond anything else, those are what you need. Yeah, and unfortunately this time around they didn't show up, but Fade level 1 and then Cure 4 and Life 2 showing up at level 2. I wasn't really complaining about any of the party members I had, honestly.
Meanwhile, Demon RHK, being the hero we all need and deserve,
Yes!
by seeing that Tia 2's legendary treasure is a copper -3 bracelet.
The Mazda bracelet.
Yeah. We're gonna have to let that marinate for, I don't know, call it 2,000 years before it turns into something really good.
It's turn into a rainbow
I was
bracelet.
I was gonna say maybe that's how it becomes the mass immune, is that it marinates there for 2,000 years.
Yes, like that.
So we were talking to Greg about this a little bit earlier, but next week we have a completely different flag set and even approach going in with Shard Hunt. So Darkmoon and Static, I'll let you guys kind of take this first, but how is your team approaching this completely different flag set going into next week?
Well, my team is scattershot because we had a party member bail like midway into the first week, so we're kind of like all over the place with strategy and so forth. We're just kind of like feeling stuff out as we go along. I know personally what I recommend because I did the co-op tournament with Sonny Rat. Doing like for me, what works is a fighter rainbow because you're going to be checking chests constantly. Those shards being everywhere is going to require you to check chests, and you're going to find a bunch of gear. So the fighter is just automatically benefited by that, no matter what. Again, the benefit of having a warp or an exit when you have a bunch of shards that you got to somehow walk out cannot be understated. So, not being locked out of that means you want a white mage and you want a black mage. And then it's just whatever you want to do for your final party member, whether it's a thief or a red mage. I like the red mage, I like the extra power, but there are benefits to having a thief instead because you got to run from encounters.
Static, what do you think? What's your team looking at going into next week?
I think it's kind of the same thing as Darkman was saying. Everyone has kind of different ideas of what they want to do. With the enemy clamps as they are, it's highly variable, whether you'll just have an extremely easy seed or, you'll have a bunch of bosses or even maybe ambush enemies at like 300%, and you got to get through those guys. Where a thief can be really useful there. BB can also be really useful, but if you don't find any good grind tiles, then you're kind of stuck. Fighter, as always, is pretty decent, but with worst equipment on, you could also run into a situation where you just don't have good endgame weapons, and then your fighter's a little underpowered going into the endgame. So, I still have to feel it out. I haven't practiced any of it, so I'm going to have to try out different comps and see what's best. If I remember right, I think the encounter rate's still kind of low, so you might be able to get by without a thief. But we'll have to see. Like Darkman said, Warp and Exit are extremely good for Shard Hunt. So if you want to risk not taking a white mage and getting locked out of Exit, or even useful spells like heal or Tier 4 or what have you, then that's definitely a risk.
Yeah.
So, Demon RHK, currently on Chaos. Our first 3 rounds, double ruse fast and double ruse lock. The preemptive locks, before we even see what we're dealing with for evasion, I kind of really like as a play. We're also powering up because we assume Chaos is going to have armor, I guess. I don't know where we get that idea from.
This might just be a play to see how much damage can be done in a single punch.
That's true.
The way that Demon's been playing, and Demon was my partner in co-op, and so it's been great playing this game with him and getting to know him. But he, when he settles into wanting to just embrace the joy of playing this game, I can see that potentially being a move he's looking for.
Mm-hmm. The Black Mage is down, so we're out of lock spells. We're going to flip over to actually punching. Here we go. It's 20 hits for 1,800 damage. Fade did something. No one knows what it was. Mailing, 2 hits, 2 damage. Second punch. 20 hits for 2,400 damage. Down goes Chaos.
GG.
Demon RHK finishes with official SRL time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 48th place. That's good enough for 10th. Finishing ahead of him was the Hangry Canuck in 9th with a time of 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 25 seconds. GG to our runners.
And also GG to Darren Dries, who finished in 8th place with a time of 56 minutes and 2 seconds. And it looks like we are joined by Demon RHK. GG, Demon.
Nah, it was a C, but GG everybody. It was a very
But I want to say that you single-handedly won the hearts of so many of the people watching with joyously tossing that Vorpal 5 out of Sky, and then doing the right thing and checking the Massa chest before going to Tier 2. You definitely won hearts today.
Yeah, after about 6th place finish, and I had already tilted off pretty hard and had so many wipes, I always went full memes. I mean, Hooray Dwarf, White Mage punching out Carry 1, chucking the Massa from space, or chucking the Vorpal from space, checking the Massa chest, and I caught the end of it there, and you called me out, DVS. I was just seeing exactly how high I could get that damage number to go on Chaos. But unfortunately, he punched me out before I could get some tempers off, too.
Oh, man. That's why I love playing with you, man.
Yeah, it was actually, and I feel so bad that it went so poorly because I took a risk going white-black instead of red-black for my 3-man party, and I got rewarded right off the bat with like it's like life 2 fade cure 4, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And then every single encounter I run into is like, okay, cool, we're gonna go down to 1 fade right after we punch your black belt out.
Yeah, and like it seems like as we've been talking about, like the grind tiles here, like all of them were like super XP tiles, but they also either had amazing amounts of HP, or they hit really hard, or they had some crazy skill or spell. So I think like oftentimes the 3-man party ends up working in your favor. I think with this one, the fact that you had 1 less nuke or fade cast just ended up making the seed a bit more difficult than it could have been with 4. And I think that just plays down to RNG.
It does. I think 3 ended up better than 4 anyway, because I probably would have went white double black, and with nuke being all the way up at 4 and fade being a 1, I probably would have been in just about as bad of a boat. But the seed overall wasn't that bad. I mean, the worst part about it was a majority, like you said, a majority of the early trap tiles were just not good. It's like you find, locked in Northwest was Zombie D Whizvamp tile, but one of them had stone poison. The single Tyro was okay. There was the Marshlock chest being guarded by one of them by a regular Ankylo and the other one by a red Ankylo. No, wait, that was the volcano trap tile. My bad.
Unrunnable Ankylo.
Yeah, unrunnable Ankylo. That was
Correct. Yeah, that was. I'm sitting there going, oh god, what am I gonna do about this marsh? Oh no.
He was chunky too. He had like 600 hit points. I eventually went back late after I got my key to pick up both chests at once.
The zap took care of it, and I only fought him once, and I was like, nope, I'm out.
But it was definitely okay. I mean, I'm notoriously bad at fast flags. I'm better when I can settle in and just work on execution, and the longer the flag goes, the better it goes. Like, Shard Hunt should be okay for me. Chaos Rush is going to be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, we were talking, I think somebody mentioned earlier that, these Shard Hunt flags coming up are very reminiscent of those co-op flags that we ran. Yeah, I could definitely see you settling in a little bit better on that Shard Hunt. And I know that you really eclipsed me towards the end of those co-op runs. So I'm excited to see what you do for next week.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow, but yeah, it's definitely, I like the free enterprise setup, but it's just so much different playing than every other flag set when it comes to Final Fantasy 1, because you're like, oh, I don't have anything I normally have to worry about, like mostly random encounters, which is the biggest part of the game, and it just having not practiced it enough, admittedly, and everything like that. Yeah, the fast flags, they just don't like me. But we'll have to see how it plays out in the coming weeks and everything.
I mean, if you really want to get into, saving frames, the fact that there's a very slight perceptible pause for walking onto and off of the river tile, if you're really being fast about it, you just avoid the rivers, which is a bad habit to develop for any other version of this game.
Totally.
All right, I think we're gonna wrap this up. So I think we're gonna move on to final thoughts. We'll start with our on-stream winner, Gregory Puff. Final thoughts.
Oh man, I had a blast. Like, I always enjoy running the game, even on stream. I don't know, I get the jitters on stream, so like, who knows what I was doing half the time, but I had a good time. I really am happy that SpeedGaming had us out, SpeedGaming 2, for, hosting this thing. Join the Randomizer, FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. Check out the website, see what's going on there. Of course, thank you, Fizzle and Davis, for doing the comms, and of course, Ailmarkin for doing the tracking. And my competitors today, Dark Moon, Static Pulse, who's really new, and Demon RHK, who joined us for spring tournament, relatively new as well. So going into next week, I just hope that we can catch up to you guys and Mr. Fizzle. And I'm just really proud of myself for actually streaming this race today. So anyways, I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Dark Moon, final thoughts.
Again, as I said, I love this kind of flag set. This one was a lot of fun. The way this one laid out was delightful. Like, evil, because of, digging so deep for the rod, and just continually waiting to be like, when do I finally get to go to Earth? Is Earth locking itself? Like, that fear at the back of your mind. But no, this one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad I didn't bother with that slab turn in for Lufane. I think it's the only thing I didn't do. And, whew, yay! But no, this was great fun. I'm looking forward to next week. Considering the amount of co-op practice I had, I actually am feeling halfway decent about next week. If you go and look at the score sheet, which we have shared on the Discord, there's a good battle up front for first, second, and third. They're within, I'd say, 20 points of each other, which, considering the high scores you can get on this flags, that's not really all that bad at all. But fourth place has, between fourth and sixth, the difference of 5 points. So there is a huge battle brewing for fourth place. And remember, only the top 4 teams are going to make it out of week 4 and get on to week 5. So we need to really keep an eye on who's going to be winning this and who's going to be coming out of it, because this race is not done yet. Even with the top 3 competitors pulling away from the rest of us, anything can happen here, and I am looking forward to seeing what happens next.
All right, Static Pulse, final thoughts.
Well, first, GG to everyone. These flag sets, I don't think I've cracked the nut on these seeds quite yet. But I'm gonna keep playing, keep getting better. Next week's another flag set, so hoping to do well there.
And Demon RHK, final thoughts.
Well played to all the runners. My team's probably realistically out of it, but we're all having fun, which is the important part here. And it's always exciting to get to play, and race more Final Fantasy Randomizer. And as always, everybody, beware of falling swords from space.
DVS, my co-com's partner in crime, final thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you to all of our on-stream runners, Dark Moon EX, Demon RHK, Gregory Puff, and Static Pulse. A big thank you to Ale, our tracker for tonight. Huge thank you to SpeedGaming for restreaming for us. As was said, we have this all-house league is going on for the next couple weeks. Next week we have Shard Hunt, which is going to be a much longer, much tougher flag set, I think, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. The week after that, we have our final of the every single team is in it week, which is going to be a Chaos Rush, which is 3 seeds back to back to back with a 1-minute break in between. So if you thought that free enterprise flags were fast, you were going to see 3 seeds in less than an hour for some of these seeds. We also have tonight, if you're looking for other non-league action here in Final Fantasy Randomizer, tonight at 10 o'clock is our weekly hardcore Iron Gall run, and we are going to be starting off next week's flags tomorrow. So tomorrow afternoon, we are going to be having our first runners attempt these Shard Hunts flags. And I am very excited to see how it goes. As Darkman was saying earlier, we have a lot of very, very close matches going on in this particular league. And I want to say that most of our runs have been within a few seconds, if not minutes, of each other. And we're going to see some amazing, amazing races in the coming weeks. So thank you again, all of you, for watching. If you would like to join in the action, FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. A link was just posted in the chat. Please join the Discord. We have an amazing new runner program called the Duckling Program. As soon as this league ends, we're going to be starting up our next Duckling Boot Camp, which myself and many other runners who are running in this fall league got our feet wet in Final Fantasy from that. And we do have Greg Lee, Ale, and Darkmoon to thank for really leading us in this Duckling program. So now's a great time to get interested, to learn a lot, not just by watching, but also joining in the fun and playing some FFR. So thank you to all. Thank you to Lord Fizzlebeef, my partner in crime here in the comms booth. Thank you to all watching, and hopefully we'll see some of you tonight as we do our hardcore Iron Bell match.